So with a figure, these are all 1-minute drawings. We'll start with a head and develop the line of action, which is basically where her body's energy is going from the head to the ground. And you want to try to get the whole figure in there. If you take divide it in half, then that's pretty much where the base of the pelvis is. So it's an easy way to get your proportions kind of set quickly up front so that you don't have to struggle as much to get the proportions in there. So this stuff is fragile. It doesn't like to be. But what's nice about it is you can rub it out. If you know, oh, this sucks, I can take this out and I can do it again. So in a way, it's kind of environmentally friendly because you can actually draw over the same piece of paper several times. And you can also destroy the evidence of your crappy drawings if you want. That's always a nice thing. So, but it doesn't make a very dark mark, and I think it gets a little frustrating. There are other, you can get different densities of the vine, but it's still just fine, and it just rubs right off, which is okay, but not great for long-term drawing. So the next best thing would be to use the vine charcoal, the compressed charcoal. I always look for the joints and do the structure of the figure first, which is what they have in that 122 class. And I used to think that gesture drawing was only on the figure, but now I've realized that it's actually the gesture drawing is the fact that you are a gesture. You're doing the gesture. You're active. But I really prefer to do it with the charcoal pencils because I have more control. And I almost always use just the 6Bs. I just buy them by the dozen. So do her again, draw her again. 27 seconds I can do this. So 8 heads high is a standard size. You'll hear everything from 6.5 to 7.5 to 9 heads, depending on who you're listening to. But 8 is a nice even number that you can divide into 4s, and then that way you can get a basic proportion from head to toe. It's pretty quick to do. So gesture drawing is kind of like target practice, in my opinion. We're just trying to get the figure down as quickly as possible and all the proportions as accurately as possible. And if the proportions are off, then we will correct them and change our tactic for the next time. So she's doing kind of a contrapposto. The shoulders and the hips go in opposite directions. This is the weight-bearing leg. Always break up the torso into segments because it's the rib cage and the pelvis, and build at the structure first, which would be like the bones or the linear structure, which isn't really straight sticks, but it looks like, that's what they call the stick figures. And then if you have the time, you can go in and start fleshing out the figure and develop shapes of the parts of the body. These are all quick drawings, so you got to keep in mind that you only have a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's like practicing your scales, though. Now, if you have any questions or if anything I say doesn't make any sense, just holler. Actually, fix the lighting in this website. It used to be really crappy lighting. Lighting's pretty good now. Although I don't like it when they change the view, but still, I can do this on Twitch without getting thrown off because it's not nudes. So hopefully you'll find, as I find, that after you warm up, the drawings start to look a lot better. They look like crap at first, and it's just a painful reality. I've been drawing today, so it's not as crap as it could be, but I didn't warm up with gestures. So essentially, every gesture drawing, no matter how much time you have, will continue to start quickly. I will not press quite so hard if I have more time because I'll want to do more detail. You can also change your grip. Notice that I'm holding my pencil like this in this particular mode, but if I wanted to do more detail, I might change my grip to be more of a holding like writing kind of pencil, but you don't want to choke it. Don't want to give it a death grip. Be fairly loose and easy with it. So we still have quite a bit of time. So I might start adding more details to the features, indicating maybe even adding shadow to the form. So you're not actually trying to do like a likeness of the person at this stage. You're really practicing getting your form and shape and the energy of the pose, if you can, into the drawing. I'm not excited about her poses. They're kind of boring. For short poses like this, they should be really should be a lot more energetic. Keep moving. Don't stop and ponder too much because you don't have a lot of time with the model. So we don't need to. Notice that her foot is right under her butt because the upper leg and the lower leg are just about the same length. I like the way that she's got her hands kind of tilted like this. Makes it more a little more interesting. Center of gravity, pretty important. Her head's tilted forward. I kind of screwed it up a little bit here, but this knee is more forward to stabilize her the weight of her pose. Usually the head is centered over the support of the feet. It's a nice, really pyramidical, triangular pose. Sometimes you can use these sketches that you do from life or from in figure drawing groups, or even if you're going on site and drawing people in cafes. Why they would ask you to do that on it, take a digital tablet, I don't really understand. I suppose you could use an iPad or another pad thing and draw that way, but it's not the same. I mean, when I draw on paper, I'm using my shoulder, I'm using my whole arm, I'm using, when you're drawing on a tablet, it's like, and I think it shows in the drawings. But yeah, it's probably a 5 by 6 or 4 by 6 or something. It's not intended to be used for figure drawing, and figure drawing should be done with traditional. That's just, but I have lots of people who disagree, and that's okay. I would not recommend it, and I would not force my students to do that. In fact, even in the classes where they say you have to use a tablet, I'd rather if you can't draw on a tablet, if you can't draw on paper, you can't draw on a tablet. So I just find it kind of counterproductive. And limiting because you don't always have electricity. You don't always have it's just don't always have a portable tablet, but you can take a notebook, and a ballpoint pen and do everything you need to do. Yeah. Mhm. That's because that's how you do figure drawing. Yeah, that you can do on the tablet. That you can do on the tablet if you have to. But I don't like drawing on the tablet. It hurts my hand. I actually did a lot of drawing on the tablet last week because I was doing a project that needed it, and I think it's bad for you. Yep, that's really true. Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's safe. Like they're going to discover that it's one of the least ergonomic things you can possibly do. Because here, I'm not even using my wrist, right? I'm using my arm, using the big joints. And I'm still suffering. I have to take painkillers for my hand now, and usually it doesn't hurt when I draw. But after that, 24-hour solid session of working on the tablet, it hurts. Yeah. Okay. No worries. Yeah. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions, even about that other class, because I've taught that one too. Mhm. Bye. All right. So, probably we'll stop the figure and do the. Do you have any particular questions, Jose? I can just go ahead and switch to the. I'll switch my setup and we'll do plants. Or, or yeah, yeah. You can draw with a charcoal pencil. Yeah. Even if it says, yeah, Vine is not for everybody. It's it's a, it's a good for an initial sketching tool, but it's not great for anything serious. So if you want to use the charcoal pencil, it's fine. I would say draw a little bit with a vine just to see how it feels. I'll draw the plant with a vine first, and just yeah, yeah. It shatters and stuff. It's good for certain things, though. I can't say that it's all bad. For the for the vine, mhm. Okay. Whatever works for you. I don't really mind. I don't even know. Mine are all mixed together. I can't tell the difference between one and another as far as the. All right, so I want to get my other camera up and put it on my plant. That was that one. This is going to be different. Let me put this over here. I've got my crazy. I don't know what it is. It's not a philodendron. It's kind of like a philodendron. I'm all tangled up because I was working on this. I've got this really cool little book stand now, and I was working on an anatomy thing out of the book. So, but I'm constantly in chaos. So, yeah, I think it makes life more interesting. Okay, so that should give me a fairly. It's challenging to get the same point of view on the what I'm looking at as on the camera because it's if it was giving you exactly the same point of view, then I would be in front of my face and I wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. Yeah. Oh, I wonder why it's black and white. That's interesting. And actually, I'm going to turn this. This is what's cool about the OBS software. I have to get a better clamp for this particular camera, but I'm kind of making do with what I got. Okay, and then I can turn this, rotate, transform, boink. Why is it black and white? Did I do something weird to it? Well, yes, you did, actually. There we go. That's better. More of a green plant. Well, you've got it. Don't let it drive you crazy. It's not as bad as it seems. Um, what you want to be able to do is get the feel of the plant. You know what I mean? It's like it gets all artsy fartsy stuff, and that's fun. You know, I'm all hip to that artsy fartsy stuff. Well, yeah, you can't. Don't try to get everything in particular. No one's going to look at the plant and say, "Oh, it's got 7 leaves and you only drew 3." You know, no one's going to do that. So don't be too hard on yourself in that regard. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you can pick and choose the stuff that you actually want to show. I'm going to pull this light over here so I can get a better light on the plant. There we go. Oops. That's not a great light because it's actually a little too forward. I like a side light, more of a side light than that. But you want a light. Light is really critical, and you definitely want to make sure that you have good light on whatever you're drawing. Even a front light is better than no light. Another thing to make sure you do whenever you're drawing from observation is to angle your board up so that it's facing, you know, that it's at an angle to you. I got this thing on it's casting a shadow. That's not great. But maybe I can, oh, nope, killed that one. All right, that's fine. I'll give myself a little light here. Angle your board so that it's more perpendicular to your eyes, so that you're looking at your drawing at a 90-degree angle. And I try to set up my camera to be equivalent to what you would see. So you want to be able to see your paper square in front of you. Get this out of the way here. Okay. So I'll do it with Vine first. Whoops. You can also, it's also good to be facing your still life so that you're looking over the top of your board at your still life instead of looking over your shoulder. Never look over your drawing arm. Always, if you have to be looking over your shoulder or over to the side, then you should be open to the still life or the model or whatever you happen to be working on. So keep that in mind when you set up your drawing station setup. I'm sorry, I'm probably making everybody queasy. Sorry. Okay. So um, the whole point of the gesture drawing, and I'm sure you already saw the demo that I posted in the classroom, but is to capture capture the object fairly quickly and draw large if you can. And the larger you can draw, the better. And especially using, use your shoulder. Don't choke up on your materials. And keep your pencil or charcoal, I'm using Vine this time, moving, constantly moving so that it has a lot of action and life to it. So essentially, every drawing that you do will start this way, whether it's a conceptual sketch or a sketch from life or a landscape or anything. Every single thing that you're going to be drawing is going to start with this basic um, technique of capturing the essentially the essence, right? Essentially the essence. Boy, that was really clever. Sorry. Um, it's hard to talk and draw at the same time, believe it or not. Most people can't do it. I don't do it very well. Yeah, I know. I'm using two sides of the brain at the same time, and they don't play nice together. So your drawing shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, probably. So that's why it's okay to do a whole bunch of them, and I would prefer that you do a lot of them and then pick the best ones to post. Some people say, "Oh, 3 drawings to post. I only have to draw 3 drawings," but I think it does say you should draw 9 or something like that. I know that people are not doing that. Most people are not doing that, but some people do. So that would be the gesture. That would be a gesture. Maybe I want to put a little more detail on this side because I didn't draw these much of these leaves, but yeah. Well, don't be too into detail for the gesture. The gesture is not about detail. Okay, detail will come later. Believe me, you'll have plenty of opportunity to draw detail. You just want to get the basics of it down. This is going to be the same whether you're drawing a human or a still life or a landscape or even a concept sketch. So let me do this again with compressed charcoal instead. Too much, too much paper. And you shouldn't really draw the same plant over and over again, so I should turn it or something, do something different to it. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. The compressed charcoal is a lot less forgiving when you put the mark down. That's it. With a vine, you can rub it off if you don't like it. And believe it or not, plants move. So doing like a long standing detailed drawing of a plant, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble because they wilt, they fade, they turn with the sun. They're not static creatures. They actually move around quite a bit. And with drawing landscape too, you think, oh, that's not going to move. I can do that. But the light changes, and light is everything. The light is the only reason you see any form at all. So it's super important. And if you want to put in just a little bit of shadow, that's what's nice about the compressed charcoal actually, is you can turn it on its edge. Oh, you can't see that. Sorry. You can turn it on its edge and do a, you know, more of a something like that. I do not know who is hammering. going to have to kill somebody. Somebody is hanging pictures or something in the room. So, no, somebody's hammering. So there's yeah. Um, Pretty messy. I mean, maybe a little more. Let's try it with the pencil and see what I can get. I'll draw it a little smaller so I can get the whole thing in there. I can't believe she let you pick her up. Not for long, huh? What are you guys doing with the? Oh, that's not you. Sorry, I thought you were one of the kids. Even with the pencil, I tend to turn it on its side just to get a quality of line or a variety of line. That's fine with me. I won't complain. So it's just as long as you try it, give it one attempt. Now, if it says charcoal, use charcoal. If it says graphite, you can use graphite. But that and I don't really mind what version of graphite or charcoal that you use. So you can get graphite in sticks, believe it or not. You can even get it in little tubs of powder. What the hell is she doing up there? Kid. So that is the essence of gesture. And if you want to take a little more time than that and make it a little more detailed, go ahead. But don't get too tight with it. Don't get too, you know, rigid. You can even just draw a few leaves. Let's just try that. Let's do, like I might want to do a close-up study of just some particular leaves. Let me try a new piece of paper. But still, to get those organic curves, you really want to let your pencil play loose. This is kind of interesting because it's got these little marks in there and along the leaves. And if you really get into the actual overlap, so maybe doing 3 or 4 different styles of the gesture because you're going to find your own groove at some point, even a little shadow here. This is like drapery. Leaves are kind of like drapery. It's really cool. So it doesn't have to be a whole plant and pot. It can just be part of it, as long as you're getting a sense of where that stem is going around the back there. So it's actually quite amazing. I hadn't thought all that much about it. It's just the way that I learned. But any drawing that, anything that you start out, drawing is going to start out like this. And it's been interesting to teach these fundamental drawing classes because I hadn't really self-analyzed how I do what I do. So that's kind of nice the way it is. Maybe a little more shadow here. You can make very artistic decisions that way. This has more shadow on it. I like more shadow there is, the more I enjoy drawing. Because I like to develop the form based on the play of light. So these leaves that are sort of more oblique to the light are more interesting. Yeah, I can live with that. Yeah, okay. So was there anything else that you needed? Did you do okay with the blind contour and everything? It is always weird. So the blind contour, did that work out okay? It shouldn't really look like much, honestly. It should really look weird. That's the way it's okay. That's the way it's supposed to look. And I did the demo. It really don't look at it. Don't look at your paper and just look at your hand and don't even don't even sneak a peek if you can help it. That's it's just a mental exercise to help you get into shift into that right brain mode of thinking where you're just focusing on space and depth and form and light and dark and not thinking about words or I mean you can talk to yourself while you're doing it, but don't recommend it. Okay. And do you like you know how to do the Photoshop thing where you set everything up into three? That's no problem. Well, I did do it earlier in this video. Okay. Do you so okay, so it's I mean I could show you again. It's not a problem. Let me stop this guy here.